There is a number, just a single number. That number is 2065, and it represents the year, the earliest possible year, that the British public will be allowed to see certain government files. Files that should, under the rules that apply to every other public figure in this country, already be open. Most of the people watching this video will not be alive in 2065. The person whose files are locked until that year is Prince Andrew, Duke of York, former senior working royal, former taxpayer-funded special trade representative, former close associate of Jeffrey Epstein. The files covering his decade of work as a representative of the British government are classified until 2065. The meetings he attended, the briefings he received, the deals he facilitated, the trips he took on the public purse, under a rule that applies only to the royal family, under exemptions that a royal biographer has been fighting for 4 years to challenge. He has submitted more than 100 Freedom of Information requests. He has received nothing. My name is the voice behind creepy Chronicles, and I want to be precise about what this investigation does and does not claim, because precision is everything when the subject is a member of the royal family, and a classification system that makes it a legal challenge to find out the truth. Because precision is everything when the subject is a member of the royal family, and a classification system that makes it a legal challenge to find out the truth. This investigation presents what is documented, what FOI requests have established, what parliamentary answers have confirmed, what Declassified UK's March 2025 investigation revealed, and what the 2065 classification date itself implies about how Britain's institutions protect certain people from scrutiny. We do not speculate about what is in the files. We investigate the fact that the files are hidden and why that matters. Between 2001 and 2011, Prince Andrew served as the United Kingdom's special representative for international trade and investment. That is a taxpayer-funded role. It came with a government office, government staff, government travel expenses, and government briefings. In practice, it meant Andrew travelled the world on behalf of Britain, meeting foreign heads of state, business leaders, and government ministers. He attended trade missions in countries including Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Tunisia, and Libya. He met with figures who were later subject to corruption allegations or human rights investigations. He was, by all accounts, an active and well-connected operator in the world of international business diplomacy. That decade of activity, paid for by British taxpayers, conducted in the name of the British government, generated files, briefings, minutes of meetings, travel records, correspondence, records of who he met, what was discussed, and what was agreed. Under the normal rules of British government transparency, those files should have begun entering the public domain from around 2021. A decade of activity, 20 years of classification, and then public access. That is the rule. It does not apply to Prince Andrew. Royal biographer Andrew Lowney has spent 4 years trying to access the files. He has submitted more than 100 Freedom of Information requests to multiple government departments. In 4 years, he has received nothing of substance, not a single briefing document, not a single minute of a meeting. Every available exemption under the Freedom of Information Act has been deployed: national security, personal data, commercial sensitivity, relations with foreign governments. The government has cycled through its entire toolkit of legal refusals to prevent a single page from being released. When Lowney asked the Ministry of Defence directly whether records existed of briefings given to Andrew during his trade envoy role, the answer was remarkable. A defence minister told peers that a review of areas that could have been involved in Andrew's role had not produced records of briefings to the Prince after he left the Navy. A decade of government work, hundreds of official meetings, dozens of foreign trips, and no records of briefings. Lowney says he does not believe that. Here is the mechanism that makes this possible. Under the standard rules, documents are reviewed for declassification after 20 years, but the principle is clear. Government files are public property, and the public has a right to see them within a reasonable time frame. The royal family operates under different rules. Their files are subject to what Lowney describes as a 105-year rule, meaning documents relating to senior royals are withheld for 105 years from the subject's birth. For Prince Andrew, born in 1960, that means 2065. This rule is not a law passed by Parliament. It is an administrative arrangement, a set of internal guidance documents that apply special treatment to royal records without any democratic mandate. The public was not consulted. Parliament did not vote on it. It simply exists, applied quietly, to ensure that scrutiny of the royal family is permanently deferred beyond the lifetime of anyone currently alive. Andrew Lowney has described the situation as the mark of a banana republic and not a mature democracy. He has called the 105-year rule a disservice to history. The most troubling detail in Declassified UK's March 2025 investigation concerns documents that should exist, but apparently do not. Lowney requested a police protection file from 1932 relating to the then Prince of Wales, a historical document, 90 years old. When the tribunal proceedings began, something unusual happened. The 20 files that Lowney had cited as publicly available were withdrawn from the National Archives. Files that were publicly available, files that historians had been consulting, withdrawn. When Lowney inquired about a wartime FBI file concerning Lord Mountbatten, he was told the relevant British files had been destroyed. When he asked when the destruction had taken place, the American authorities confirmed, "After you had asked for them." The British government said the destruction had taken place at the request of the British government, which had moved to suppress the records. The classification of Andrew's files might be more defensible if we knew nothing about his decade as trade envoy. But we know a considerable amount. We know that Andrew maintained a friendship with Jeffrey Epstein long after Epstein's 2008 conviction. We know that Andrew visited Epstein in New York in 2010 during his time as a trade envoy, despite Epstein's conviction. We know that Virginia Giuffre alleged, in a now settled civil case, that she was trafficked to Andrew when she was 17 years old. Andrew has consistently denied those allegations. We know that Andrew's trade envoy trips included meetings in Azerbaijan with figures close to the Aliyev regime. We know that the Foreign Office described a Saudi trip by Andrew as making them extremely grateful. We know he lobbied for businesses with questionable connections. All of this is in the public domain. What is locked until 2065 is the government's own internal record of what Andrew was doing. The 2065 classification date is not an accident. It is a choice made by an institution that has decided the public's right to know should be subordinated to the monarchy's right to privacy. For longer than most people alive today will live. This is not a small matter of bureaucratic procedure. It is a fundamental question about who in Britain is subject to the same rules as everyone else and who is not. Every other public official in this country operates under a transparency framework that makes their records available within a generation. The royal family has carved out an exception that makes their records unavailable within a lifetime. The government has confirmed it holds no files on Andrew's trade envoy activities. Lowney does not believe that. Experts question if it is credible. The withdrawal of files from the National Archives suggests that the government's approach to Andrew's records is not passive, it is active. Creepy Chronicles investigates the cases the official record would rather you never found. Every Thursday and every Sunday, real, documented, told without apology. I want to return to that number, 2065. By 2065, Prince Andrew will be 105 years old, if he lives that long. The people who made decisions about his role as trade envoy will almost certainly be dead. The political context will have changed beyond recognition, and in 2065, when the files finally open, whoever reads them will be looking at history, not accountability, history. That, precisely, is the point. Share this with someone who believes that in Britain, everyone is subject to the same rules. My most dangerous assumption, they always were. As always, thank you for staying. The filing cabinet says otherwise, and it is locked until 2065.